Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Basic Education Board.
Hello students, welcome to TV Learning Program. My name is Benon. I will be taking Senior 4 students in biology. Dear students, what do you understand by the term tissue? What do you understand when we talk about the term tissue? A tissue is a group of similar cells which are specialized to perform a particular or specific function. And how many types of tissues are commonly found in human? Excellent. We have epithelial tissues, we have connective tissues, we have muscular tissues, and nervous tissues. There are 4 types. Can we repeat together? We have epithelial tissues, we have connective tissues, we have muscular tissues, and nervous tissues or nerve tissues. So from the previous lesson, we talked about tissues. We described different types of epithelial tissues. We saw their functions. We saw their location in the body. So today, our lesson is from Unit 5. Unit 5, which is diversity of specialized tissues, and the lesson is muscle and nervous tissues, which means our concern today is about muscular tissues and nerve tissues. By the end of this lesson, make sure you're able to differentiate 3 types of muscle tissues. Make sure you're able to differentiate 3 types of nervous tissues. Dear students, when we talk about a specialized tissue, what do you understand? A specialized tissue is a tissue which has similar cells that have specific functions in the body. That means these functions can be secretion or production of useful substances. Maybe it can be absorption, selecting useful nutrients which are needed by the body. Let it be diffusion, movement of molecules from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane, or it can be protection. Some of the tissues may be responsible for protecting organs. So today, our concern is about muscle tissues. Muscle tissues are specialized for contraction and relaxation. That means if I have my arm like this, I have muscles. Remember, these muscles are connected to bones. And these muscles can contract and relax. In the process of contracting and relaxing, I can be able to get my chalk, to use it, I can pick it from the table, and so on. So the function of muscle tissues is contraction and relaxation. These muscle tissues are made up of cells which are elongated. Remember, a tissue is a group of cells, and these cells are known as muscle fibers. They contain contractile proteins, which we call actin and myosin. These are important proteins which are responsible for contraction and relaxation of muscles. When you talk about the process of protein synthesis in our body, think about actin and myosin being produced, and they are important in our muscles because they bring about contraction and relaxation. And in that process, there is short and elongated cells which bring about that contraction. There are 3 types of muscle tissues. we have what we call skeletal tissues, we have cardiac tissues, we also have what we call smooth tissues. Meaning, when we talk about muscle tissues, think about three types. Think about skeletal tissues, think about cardiac tissues or tissues of the heart, and think about smooth tissues. Those are three main types of muscle tissues. Then, as you can see here, those are the three types we have talked about. You see, this is the heart, and the heart has cardiac muscle. These are cardiac muscles. Then, this is the arm, which has bones, and on these bones, we have muscles which are attached there. Remember, a muscle is attached to a bone by tendons. This is skeletal muscle because these muscles are attached to bones of our skeleton. Then we have smooth muscles. These are muscles we can find in visceral organs or internal organs of the body, like stomach, small and large intestines. Even these muscles can be found in blood vessels. Something very important, cardiac muscles are involuntary. Do you understand what it means? That means we don't have control over them because they are controlled by what we call autonomic nervous system. This is part of the nervous system. Then skeletal muscles are voluntary. Remember, we can have control over contraction and relaxation of skeletal muscles. I can decide for these muscles to contract or relax. So that's why we say they are voluntary. These are controlled by what we call somatic nervous system. Then smooth muscles are involuntary because they are controlled by autonomic nervous system. Then how are these three types different? Here we have skeletal muscle, here we have cardiac muscle, here we have smooth muscle. Location where we find them. Skeletal muscles are attached to skeleton. As we have seen, these muscles are attached to skeleton. Then cardiac muscles are attached to myocardium of the heart, or they are attached to muscles of the heart. Remember, the heart doesn't have bones. Then smooth muscles are found in the visceral organs like stomach, large intestine, small intestine, and even in blood vessels. When we talk about the shape, skeletal muscles have cylindrical shape, cardiac muscles have cylindrical shape, and smooth muscles have fusiform shape. That means they can be rod-shaped or spindle-shaped. Then the diameter, skeletal muscles are the largest, cardiac muscles have medium size, and smooth muscles are the smallest. What about stratification? Stratification, this is the arrangement of the sarcolemma. Here, within the skeletal muscles, stratification or striation is clear. Then, in the cardiac muscles, it is not clear. In the smooth muscles, we don't have striation. Then, intercalated discs are absent in skeletal muscles. They are present in cardiac muscles, and they are absent in smooth muscles. Then, nuclei or the nucleus. In skeletal muscles, they are numerous and peripheral. That means there are many, and they are located on side positions. Then, in the cardiac muscle, the nucleus is one and in the center. Then, in the smooth muscle, the nucleus is one and in the center. These are very important differences between skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscles. Let us talk about skeletal muscles. These are muscles which are attached to bones, and contraction of these muscles generate what we call body movement, limb movement, for example, when we talk about limb movement, here we talk about our arms and legs. These muscles contract and relax, and that brings about movement. The jaw movement, remember we have what we call upper and lower jaws, which move around when we are grinding food. Then breathing. Skeletal muscles contract and relax, and this brings about the process of breathing. Remember what we call intercostal muscles within the rib cage. When they contract and relax, this brings about breathing. Then skeletal muscle fibers are long, cylindrical, with multiple peripherally located nuclei. Like we have said, they have many nuclei which are located on the sides. This is a very good example of a skeletal muscle. As you can see, this one is a bone, and this one is a muscle. And then this is a tendon. Remember, the function of tendon is to connect a muscle to a bone. So this is skeletal muscle, which has got many muscle fibers or cells. Then we have cardiac muscles, which contract and relax without fatigue. The cells are striated, but the striations are much less obvious than in skeletal muscle. Like we have seen, striations in skeletal muscle is much stronger than striation in cardiac muscles. Cells are shorter than skeletal muscle fibers. That means cells within the cardiac muscles are shorter, and they have a single nucleus and are often branched. Individual cells are connected via gap junctions and desmosomes. Desmosomes are responsible for adhering or connecting cells together. So those are cardiac muscles. This is the diagram which is describing or showing the cardiac muscle. We have mitochondria there. Remember, these muscles contract and relax without getting tired or fatigue, which means they need energy, and that energy is provided by mitochondria. Then you can see the nucleus. Then we have cardiac muscles. These are the cardiac muscles. We have myofibrils. These are the myofibrils. Then we have intercalated discs, which these are the gap junctions. And then you can see these are muscle cells which are intact. So that is cardiac muscle. Then we have what we call smooth muscle. These are found in the walls of hollow organs like gastrointestinal tracts. When we talk about gastrointestinal tract, we mean digestive system. Remember, this is a series of organs which are connected together. That means from the mouth, esophagus, from the esophagus to the stomach, from the stomach to small intestine, from small intestine to large intestine. Those are different organs which are connected together. Then these smooth muscles are also found in blood vessels and in the urinary bladder. They bring about contractions of these muscles, propel the fluid or the materials through the organs. Like when these muscles contract and relax in the gastrointestinal tract, that brings about the movement of food from one place to another. Remember what we call peristalsis, or the movement of food along the esophagus. So that is caused by contraction and relaxation of muscles. Then when these muscles contract in the blood vessels, that means blood can move from one part to another. When they contract and relax in the urinary system, that means blood can be pushed from kidneys to ureters, from ureters to bladder, from bladder to urethra. So these smooth muscles are very important. Like we have said, we can find them in the stomach, we can find them in the small and large intestines, we can find them in blood vessels, we can find them in bladder, ureter, and urethra. Then this one is a diagram showing the smooth muscle. Like you can see, this is a vesicle which has neurotransmitters. Remember, neurotransmitters are very important in transmission of nerve impulse from one part to another. Then we also have what we call nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is specialized for communication and composes the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Remember, those are three components of nervous system: brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. The tissue consists of the major cell types. Here we talk about neurons and the glial cells. Neurons are very important in communication with each other via electrical and chemical signals. Remember, neurons are responsible for transmission of nerve impulses. They have nucleated cell bodies. That means their cell bodies have nucleus. And two types of elongated cellular processes where we talk about dendrites. Dendrites receive signals, and then axons which send signals. The function of glial cells are support cells of the nervous tissue. That means glial cells are responsible for supporting nervous tissues. Let us see three main types of neurons. Remember, we have what we call sensory neuron, we have what we call relay neuron, we have what we call motor neuron. When we talk about sensory neuron, this one is responsible for transmission of nerve impulses from the effectors to central nervous system. When we talk about effectors, we mean organs or muscles which respond to stimulus. That means if I touch something, here I have receptors, and the information will be transported by sensory neurons to the central nervous system, so that the central nervous system can know that my fingers are holding the chalk. So that information is transported by sensory neurons. Then relay neuron or interneurons, these ones are responsible for connecting sensory and motor neurons. The function of relay neuron is to connect sensory and motor neurons. Then we have motor neuron. This motor neuron is very important in transmitting nerve impulses from central nervous system to the effectors. Here, effectors are organs which respond to the stimulant. For example, if the brain instructs me to remove this arm from the table, I remove it. If the brain instructs me to put this chalk on the table, I put it there. The message is transported by motor neurons. Now, these neurons have what we call dendrites, like we have seen. The function of dendrites is to receive electrical or chemical impulses. Then these dendrites are connected to what we call cell body. This one is the cell body. If they say nucleated cell body, that means the cell body has the nucleus. Remember, these are cells, and if they are cells, they have nucleus. Then from there, you can see we have what we call axon. And the function of axon is to transport the nerve impulse which has been received by dendrites. Then this is the long axon, and on the axon we have what we call myelin sheath. And the function of the myelin sheath is to insulate the axon. Then you can see in between the myelin sheath we have what we call the node of Ranvier. This node of Ranvier, the nodes of Ranvier speed up the transmission of nerve impulses. Dear students, sometimes terms like unipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, or multipolar neuron are commonly used. When they talk about unipolar neuron, just think about one way leading to the cell body. If they talk about bipolar neuron, that means two ways going to the cell body. If they talk about multipolar neuron, that means many ways leading to the cell body. Let us have a look at the motor neuron. As you see here, this motor neuron has very many dendrites which are connected to the cell body. That means having many dendrites connected to the cell body makes this motor neuron a multipolar neuron because it has many ways which are leading to the cell body. So, dear students, before we wind up, before we finish our lesson today, let us make a quick review of what we have discussed today. We have talked about muscle and nervous tissues. With muscle tissues, we have talked about three types. We have talked about skeletal muscles. We have talked about smooth muscles. We have talked about cardiac muscles. Skeletal muscles are muscles connected to our bones by tendons. Cardiac muscles are muscles of the heart. Remember, we have said that these cardiac muscles contract and relax without fatigue. So that's why we have seen a lot of mitochondria there. Then smooth muscles are muscles we find in the visceral organs. We have said these muscles are commonly found in the stomach, in the small intestine, in the large intestine, in the urethra, ureter, bladder, and even in blood vessels. So these muscles are involuntary. That means they are controlled by autonomic nervous system. Then from there, we have tried to compare the three types of muscles. Like we have said, skeletal muscles are voluntary muscles because we control their mechanism of contraction and relaxation. But cardiac muscles and smooth muscles are involuntary. They are controlled by autonomic nervous system. Then we talked about each type one by one, and these muscles are very important to our body. Dear students, before we wind up, let us have homework to test our level of understanding. Question number 1, define a tissue, because I've talked about tissues. Question number 3, name 3 types of muscle tissues. Question number 3, explain differences between skeletal and cardiac muscle. Question number 4, where do we find smooth muscles in our body? Question number 5, what are the functions of nerve tissues in the body? Remember, we have also talked about nerve tissues, which are made up of 2 types of cells, neurons and glial cells. We have also talked about 3 types of neurons, sensory neuron, relay neuron, and motor neuron. So make sure you are able to answer this question. Question number 6, explain functions of neurons and glial cells in the body. So those are the questions to test your level of understanding. Dear students, thank you very much for your active participation. I'm hopeful you're going to do the homework, and of course you will do it nicely because you have followed all the steps of the lesson. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of the day.